Listen, if your knees hurt every time you do a leg day, it is not your age. As a matter of fact, it most likely isn't your knees are the issue. It is the muscle above them. I'm going to show you today the 4 sequence steps that I need you to take and that I show my clients and I take myself personally to alleviate tension here in the quads and to activate more of this glute medius muscles to turn them on because they are sleeping and to help alleviate the pain and pressure that's on our knees. I used to think my knees were shot and were going to be shot for the rest of my life. Now, previous times when I first started lifting, I made a stupid mistake of doing squat jumps with a really heavy weight. And this really messed up my meniscus on my left side. Now here's the thing, I kept making it worse by creating some stiffness here in my quads. However, I did everything that I could, or at least I thought I could, taking some medication, putting some ice on it, doing simple stretches, but nothing was really working. It wasn't until I addressed 2 muscle groups that really needed to be addressed is when everything changed for me. The first one was stiffness in the quads. The second one was my glutes being activated or underactive and trying to turn them on. So in order to address this and really fix this, you need to take 4 simple steps. The first one is going to be inhibit. We need to inhibit or put pressure on the tight muscle group, aka in this case, our quads. We're going to do so by means of a foam roller. I'm going to show you how to do that later on. The second step is going to be lengthen. We not only need to put pressure and activate something called our Golgi tendon organ, and what that is, or what that will do for you really, is to send signals from your mind to the muscle to relax. The second step is going to be lengthen. Now what lengthen means simply means is stretching. I'm going to show you the best stretch you could possibly do for your quadriceps, okay? And the third step is going to be activate. Activate what? We need to activate our glute medius. It's a weak muscle group and chances are they're falling asleep. Glute amnesia is a real thing. So we need to turn on our glutes by means of activation. I'm going to show you 2 of my favorite activation drills that I love to do for myself or even my clients before they do a leg day. And it's going to involve a glute band such as this. The 4th step that we need to incorporate is called integration. Now really it means like getting involved with your leg day, but also your leg day with a turned on glute and lengthened quad is going to feel tremendously different than if you were to go in it cold or not do any of these steps at all. So starting with the first step, inhibit or foam rolling the quad, I'm going to show you how to use this bad boy to really inhibit and to relax the muscle as much as possible. Now, I'm not going to lie, this is going to be one of the most painful things you may do, especially if your knees are very tight, your quads are very tight. But well, yeah, I'm going to show you. So you want to make sure that you're putting this foam roller here mid-quad first. Go on your elbows, and this other leg is going to be bent to the side. This is the leg that's going to help you move up and down. Now notice the leg that I'm rolling. It is going to be completely off the floor. And you're going to be on your elbows. Now, right away, I feel already a tender spot where I have the foam roller. But if you don't feel the tender spot, you can shimmy your body up. I always recommend holding it where you first put it. Hold it there for about 30 seconds up to a minute. And then eventually roll more mid-thigh closer to the knee. And then eventually very close to the knee, but still keep it on the muscle. You want to hold these positions for about 30 seconds up to a minute. Now again, this is not going to be the most comfortable thing. As a matter of fact, this will hurt. Now, if you want more intensity, there's something called the active release method. This is when you're very, well, you're very stiff in your knees. And if you want to give this a try, you go ahead if you like the pain. But really, you want to bend and extend and relax. Bend and extend and relax. Now, in order to get the most out of this, you need to focus on your breathing. There's a technique called the box breathing technique. You want to breathe in your nose fully 3 to 4 seconds, hold it in for 3 to 4 seconds, and breathe out your mouth up to 6 to 8 seconds. You want to breathe in again. Take your time with it. Hold it in for 3 to 4 seconds, then breathe out your mouth. The more you do that while you're holding the foam roller on your knee, the more you're gonna feel your muscle relax on the foam roller. And that is the main key when it comes to foam rolling in general, whether it's for your quads, your lats, or any muscle group that you're doing, okay? Now let's move on to the lengthen part. Now for the second step, to lengthen the muscle that we just foam rolled, this is gonna be super, super essential. You can't do one without the other. You always wanna foam roll first and lengthen or stretch after. Okay, so this is one of my favorite, if not my most favorite, stretch that you could do for your quads. This will alleviate a lot of knee tension, hip tension, back tension like crazy. So this is called a couch stretch. You could do it on your couch or you could do it on a bench, but of course make sure, especially you have tender knees, make sure you have double matting under it. If you have a single mat, it might put a little too much pressure, or if you do it on the floor, that's way too much pressure on your knees. You want something that has a good amount of cushion. Now, depending on how severe your knee tension is, you want to either be further away from the bench or closer to the bench. This is what I mean. So you want to have one leg out. This is the leg I'm not stretching. This is the leg I'm going to be stretching. I'm going to put my foot and ankle here on the bench. You see, I'm going to turn my body as much as possible here. My leg in front of me is going to be more or less a right angle. Now notice this, I could easily arch my back, but that's not going to do too much. I want to bring my pelvis in, ooh, squeeze my bottom. And when I squeeze my bottom, this is going to stretch out your psoas muscle here, but at the same time, you're going to feel this all the way from here, all the way down to your quad. This quad muscle called your rectus femoris. Push your pelvis in, squeeze your glutes, keep this tight. Don't over push it. Now, again, if your knees are very severe in terms of stiffness and tightness, move away from the bench a little bit to make it a little bit easier. If you want to push the stretch a bit more because you have just that little flexibility, but you want to get more of a stretch, you want to get closer and closer in, but it's going to be harder and harder to bring your pelvis in. Again, you have to push your pelvis in, squeeze your bottom, and do the box breathing technique again. Hold this. Breathe in, 3 to 4 seconds. Hold it for 3 or 4 seconds. Breathe out your mouth for 6 to 8 seconds. You want to do this for about a minute or so. You could do a couple of sets as well. If this is too intense, break it up into 30 seconds every time, and then do multiple sets of it. This is, again, a great stretch for the quadriceps so that you can lengthen up the quads, alleviate the pressure on the knees. Now, this right here, let me illustrate. To illustrate this, the foam rolling and lengthen, say for example, right here, this is a balanced approach. This is a balanced quad and glutes. But now, with your quads being overactive, you can see this right here. Say this is the quad, is shorter, is extremely tight, and this is your lengthened glutes and they're turned off. So what we did here with the foam roller, we relaxed it a little bit more, boom. You see it's a little bit more relaxed. With the stretching, we brought it back into place, into alignment. But now, to keep it there, we need to activate the glutes so that they get a little bit tighter and hold that position in place. So now we're gonna move into step number 3, and that is to activate the weak muscles, and that is our glute maximus and medius. Now this right here is gonna be a baller of an exercise, but you need a glute band just like this, more specifically a cloth one. I like to use a large one, nothing extremely tight. You can if you want to, but I like a little leeway just so I could really engage my glute medius along with my glute maximus. I'm gonna show you the glute bridge first with the band and how to do so correctly and how to do so in a manner that will activate our glutes in a great way, okay? Then after that, I'm gonna show you the glute clamshells. But I'm gonna show you a way that I've learned that really turns on your glutes like crazy, okay? So we're gonna put this first. We're gonna do the glute banded glute bridges with a 5-second hold at the top. Oh yeah. So after you do your foam rolling, your stretching, this is the third step you have to do. So you're gonna lay on your back, feet relatively closer together, okay? And you don't want your feet too far out. You don't want it too close in. You just want it enough right here, well, relatively close. But now I have this right above my knees. I'm gonna push out my knees as though I'm trying to rip this band apart. Look at my back and my pelvis. I want to bring my pelvis in. I'm not going to just shoot up, overarch my back. I'm going to feel too much pressure here. What I want to do is bring my pelvis in, squeezing my core, squeezing my butt, knees out, breathe in, push your pelvis up while keeping the knees out. You're going to hold this, try to feel it right here if possible for a solid 5 seconds. If you don't feel it here and you feel it too much here, chances are you're arching your back too much, your pelvis isn't in, and you're not feeling the contraction here. So again, breathe in, pelvis in, knees out, push up with the heels mostly, squeeze this for 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Control down, keep those knees out. Still, yeah, you want to keep those knees out. Readjust the pelvis again and repeat. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. You're going to do that for a total of 10 repetitions. Your glutes are going to be on fire. I don't care how many times I've done this, many times, I still feel it after the first couple of reps. You have to do your best to push through if possible, and ideally do 1 up to 4 sets. Me personally, before my workout, I tend to do 2 solid sets of these, maybe 3 if I want more glute activation, but I can't really see myself doing more than 2 really most of the time. But up to you, that's going to be on your discretion. The second exercise right after, when you're done with that, are going to be glute clamshells with the band. Now, you want to be on your side just like this. You want to have the band, of course, slightly above your knees bent, feet to feet together. You're going to raise up your hips. You see, I'm not touching the floor. I'm going to put my hand on the floor just to support me. If holding your body up is too hard, that's okay. Do it this way, okay? Rest your whole body on the floor. But if possible, you're going to raise your hips up. Make sure it's not touching the floor. Keeping your feet to feet together, and then you're going to push up, hold for a second, then back down. What I'm doing here, I'm pushing out. I'm activating my glute medius here, while at the same time isometrically holding my glute medius here. So you're getting a double whammy. You're killing your glutes in a good way, not over-exhausting it, but really trying to activate as much as possible. And you can do a total of 10 reps. 1, 2, 3. Once you're done with that one side, you're gonna go right away into the other side. Again, bend your knees, feet to feet together, on your elbows, hands down, raise up your hips, hold for a second. 1, 2, 3, and onward until you're up to 10. This likewise, I do a total of 2 sets. And more often than not, whether my clients are seeing me for 30 minutes or even an hour, I tend to have them doing 2 solid sets. Now, that is step number 3. It is glute activation. What is integration? Essentially, step number 4 is going to be just your workout, right? If you're starting off with squats or a single leg motion, those tend to be the best options. I'm going to show you 2 different ones, okay? Now, when it comes to the integration portion of the workout, what you want to do is mimic a movement pattern. For example, a squat. Now, you could either do it with something behind you, holding onto something, or do it free weighted, or even do it weighted, okay? However, considering that we lengthen up our quads, we activate our glutes, we want to squat in a manner that's going to help activate our glutes while we're squatting. Okay, so I'm going to show you a common mistake that I see most of the time, and I'm going to show you how to correct that, okay? A common mistake that I see most of the time is people squatting either too narrow or even if they're too wide and their knees cave in. The last thing you want to do is have your knees cave in. The purpose of us foam rolling and stretching and activating our glutes is to turn on our glute medius. This is how you're going to do it. You want to make sure that you're activating your glute medius when you're squatting by holding the floor with your big toe, pinky toe, and your heel. And you want to keep it there while you're pushing out your shins to the side. I'm going to show you an example. Now notice here, I'm going to stand somewhat shoulder width apart, my toes pointing out ever so slightly. I'm grabbing the floor with my big toe, my pinky toe, and my heels. Now notice this is carpet. We're gonna make it move. I'm gonna literally grab the carpet with my feet, push them out with my feet and my shins, and you see naturally my knees go out. And as my knees are going out, I'm gonna initiate the movement first with the hips, knees go out. You can have your hands anywhere or hold on to something stable. And you see how I'm squatting down with my knees going out. If I were to keep my knees in, I would be unable to go low. I'm feeling too much pressure here, and I'm feeling way too much pressure on my back. So again, grab the floor with your big toe, pinky toe, and heel. Push out the carpet, so to speak. Knees go out, stay centered, boom, go up and squeeze your bum. Now I'm gonna show you a pro tip that you could utilize yourself. Now you will need rings, a TRX, a home machine to hold on to, or even a door frame if possible. But say you do have rings at home or even at the gym. What you wanna do, of course, is separate your feet shoulder width apart. Grab the floor with your big toe, pinky toe, and your heels. We're gonna hold on to this, especially if you have pretty decently bad knees like I had at one time, and you wanna push the hips back, engage the glutes by pushing out your shins and your knees, keeping your body upright, holding on to this for stability, making sure that your knees are pointing out, going up and squeezing your bottom and your quads, and repeat. Hips out, knees out, control down, boom, and repeat that motion again. Now, if your knees are still caving in, don't feel discouraged. Just make sure you adjust your form, your stance. Some people, they could squat pretty decently, being a little bit closer. Some people could be a little bit wider. Just however, make sure your knees do not cave in. Try not to be too wide, because I noticed this too. I noticed when people are squatting, their feet and their shins are out, but not necessarily their knees. They kind of go inward. And that's gonna cause too much pressure here and here. And that's the last thing we want. However, if you want me to judge your squat form, feel free to text me first at 407-879-3794. I'll be more than willing, especially if you have an iPhone, to send me your video of you squatting, and I correct it, I critique it, and I could give you more information and feedback for free. Or if you have an Android, we could do it on WhatsApp. But please text me first if you're interested in me correcting your squat form for you to have stronger knees, and any advice that I would love to give. But please like, share, and subscribe, and follow me on social media. My TikTok and my Instagram is at Coach Diego Rivera. Let's get stronger together, guys.